Hello everyone, Me19 Forever here, making a video response to the bilingual tag that Meister Lehnsherr has asked his fans to reply to and perhaps even make a video. Well, it's pretty cold outside and I really didn't have anything to do, so I said, why not make the video? It would be so awesome. So anyway, I am going to do the bilingual tag and we'll see how it goes. First question is, what languages do you speak? English is my first language. Spanish would be my second. So English and Spanish. Would you say you're fluent in both? Yes, I would say I'm fluent in both. I use them every day, particularly in my job at a restaurant. So I do use both English and Spanish a lot, especially here in Texas. We have a lot of native Spanish speakers, a lot of Mexican nationals, so we really get a lot of the Spanish influence, and I know most people here in Texas, if they can't speak it, they at least understand it a lot, so yeah, definitely, I use them both. Did you grow up speaking both languages? Not really. In my household, going to school here, and just with my parents, it was almost exclusively an English-speaking house. Now, my grandparents spoke Spanish exclusively, so I actually picked up and learned to communicate in Spanish through my grandparents who spoke it exclusively. And it was really odd when I was growing up because every time you would go to my grandparents' house, they were speaking Spanish and I was speaking English. And even though we had the two languages going and we couldn't speak to each other in the same languages, we could understand each other perfect. So it was odd, it was weird, but it was fun. It was funny, and that's how I really picked it up, just speaking to my grandparents a lot. Which language do you prefer and why? I'd have to say I prefer English just because it's so much more of a universal kind of language. It's definitely something, language that most people know or understand or even speak. It is like the universal language, so I guess that's why I prefer it. Spanish, of course, sounds nicer, but definitely you can get the point across with English for the most part. So yeah, I'd have to go with English. Which language do you speak in most? English. At work, I'd have to say I'd probably revert to Spanish more, just because of my coworkers, but definitely in the household, if I'm out in town, meeting people, just everyday normal interaction with people, it's definitely English. So yeah, I would say I speak mostly English. What's your favorite word in your second language? That's a hard one because there's so many. I'd have to say probably my favorite word is manzana. Manzana is fruta, and I like fruit, and that's an apple, manzana. And it just sounds so neat rolling off your tongue. It sounds fun saying it, manzana. You know, it's cool. I like that word. I've always liked saying that. I don't know why. What's the translation of that word in your first language? Oh, well, I guess I just did that. Manzana is apple. And, of course, it's Christmas time, so we have plenty of apples available. And that's another reason that word just popped into my head, too, and I just like the way it sounds. When do you most often use your second language? Work. Definitely at work. We have a lot of really nice ladies, great cooks, that are native Mexican speakers, and they are Mexican nationals, and their first language is Spanish, so I am using a lot of Spanish out in the kitchen and with my coworkers at work, so it's a great way for me to continue to use Spanish, which I enjoy, and it's really interesting because I'm speaking English to my customers, and for my workers, a lot of times it's Spanish. And a lot of times when we get Spanish-speaking customers, I can work as a translator from the customer who speaks Spanish to my managers or whoever else doesn't quite understand a lot of it yet. Then I can let them know what they're saying. So yeah, that's really cool. I enjoy that. Do you prefer watching movies dubbed in your first or second language? Definitely my first in English. I've watched a lot of films, English films dubbed in Spanish, and while the words are basically the same, the meaning often comes out completely different. And I go like, oh, wait a minute, that was different. Or that didn't happen, or that was weird, but yeah, I definitely have to say first language English, because the meaning is really clear, and in Spanish a lot of times the translation, the meaning just comes out so weird sounding, it sounds so strange. So yeah, definitely first language English. Literally translate your favorite expression or phrase from your second language into your first. La vida no vale nada. And there's actually a song of that saying too in Spanish, and it just basically means life means nothing. And I know that sounds harsh and cruel, but it's a saying in Spanish about when something goes wrong, when something doesn't go your way, realize that this life is just temporary. It's not to say that it's the all there is of existence. It kind of goes into religion and into the afterlife and stuff, but it's really cool, and it really can help you a lot of times when, I don't know, when you have disappointment in life or something didn't work out in your life. You can go back to this saying about la vida no vale nada, and I don't know, it's an interesting, cool saying. It does kind of get into religion and philosophy and stuff, but I like it. I think it's cool, and it's a really great song too. One of my grandparents' favorites too. Do you code switch? Switch from one language to another in the middle of a sentence? I do, especially at work when I'm going through both languages. I remember one time in particular, I was taking an order from a customer, and the customer had a very specific item that he wanted taken off his dinner. And I went to the back and the ladies and told them in Spanish. And when I repeated the order back to the customer, I said, okay, this and this and this item, sin crema, sin queso, sin cebolla. And I said, no cream, no cheese, no onions. Well, I said it in Spanish instead of English. And the customer just kind of did like, yes, because the customer luckily knew what that meant too. So saved, but it was interesting because I actually slipped into Spanish from English, so I definitely do that a lot. And did being bilingual make school harder or easier for you? I'd have to say easier, because I was actually able to help a lot of my fellow classmates a lot of times when they were stuck on a certain word, or when they didn't quite understand the meaning of a certain word. I could just go to them and tell them, oh, well, it means this, or it means that, or that's what the true meaning is, or that's what it kind of means. You kind of have it, but it actually means this. So yeah, it kind of helped being bilingual. It kind of helped. And of course, here in Texas, being an educator now requires at least Spanish and English and bilingual. Other languages are great too, are awesome, but that's definitely required now for educators, is to be able to speak both languages fairly well, fluent at best, but fairly well. It's always a plus, so yes, it did help a lot. What advice would you give someone who wants to become bilingual? Go for it. Definitely go for it. It just opens up so much for you when you're able to communicate to people in their native language. You're able to understand them better. You're able to understand meanings of what they're saying better. And it definitely makes communication so much more easier. Plus, it actually makes native speakers really proud that you took the time and the effort to learn their language. So it's definitely a way to go. Definitely pursue that second language or even third language. It's a way to go. It's great. How does being bilingual benefit you nowadays? It benefits me a lot at work, even at school. I'm able to communicate with most people, even if they are native Spanish speakers. I can just communicate with them like that, and I don't have to worry about, did I say that wrong, or did I get the meaning of what they were saying right, or did I interpret it wrong or something. It's definitely a way to be able to understand exactly what people are saying the way they want to say it. And it's definitely benefited me in the workplace, it's benefited me in school, and just in friendships too. Just being able to know people who speak in Spanish, or to say, and who may be shy to speak English because maybe they don't know it very well or can pronounce it very well, just making people comfortable by using their native language. So it is very helpful. and it's great. I enjoy using both languages. I love them. Okay, do you have more friends that speak your first or second language? Definitely my first language, English. I have more friends and family that are English speakers. English is their first language, just like me. So, because of that, English is spoken primarily when we're communicating. Now, Spanish does get in there sometimes too, but definitely it's English. What language would you like to take up next? That's easy. I want to learn German next. And thanks to Meister Lehnsherr and his wonderful videos, which I'm a true fan of, I'm getting better at German. And I'm doing it for personal reasons too. I want to go to Germany one day. My significant other is in Germany, and I would really like to be able to make an impression by letting him know that I've taken the time to actually learn, that I cared enough, and that I really love the culture and the country and the people to learn the language. And that was easy. I want to learn German. And that pretty much sums up my bilingual tag. This is Mew19 Forever. It's been a pleasure making this video. Meister Lehnsherr, you keep doing what you're doing, and I'm going to keep learning. I definitely love everything about Germany. And I have to say I love English and Spanish too. And I would love to bring Germany as my third language into my household, into my life, and you're doing a great job. So definitely keep up the great work. I thoroughly enjoy them and all your videos. So we'll see you next time. Bye.